They didn't replace you. They downgraded and called it an upgrade to feel better about their fear. Chosen one, let that line sit for a second, because that single truth explains everything that happened next. They didn't walk away because you lacked value. They walked away because your depth scared them. They chose a fake because a fake never asks for growth, never reflects their flaws, never demands honesty. Real people do. You did. And instead of rising to meet you, they ran towards something loud, shiny, and empty, then tried to convince themselves it was a win. Think about it like this. Someone trades a solid gold watch for a plastic one that flashes lights. At first, it feels exciting. People notice it, it makes noise. But a week later, the lights stop, the plastic cracks, and suddenly they remember what real weight felt like on their wrist. That is exactly what they did with you. They swapped something timeless for something temporary, and now they are stuck explaining to themselves why it feels so wrong. Here is the fact that seals it. No feelings required. Studies on decision regret show that people regret choices made out of fear far more than choices made out of patience. Fear-based decisions age badly. They rot. And that is why their regret did not show up immediately. It waited. It waited until the excitement faded, until the fake comfort wore off, until silence crept in and started asking questions they cannot answer. And before we go any further, Chosen One, thank you for being here. If this message is hitting you where it's supposed to, pay it back by pressing like and subscribe. Not for me, but because messages like this reach the people who are quietly breaking and don't have words yet. Spread it forward. You're part of a force that turns pain into clarity and clarity into power. Now back to the truth they are trying to avoid. They told themselves stories about you, that you were too much, too quiet, too intense, too different. What they really meant was you were too real. You didn't play games well enough. You didn't fake feelings. You didn't live on the surface, and that made them uncomfortable because shallow people drown in deep water. So they chose someone easier, someone who mirrors them instead of challenges them, someone who fits into their chaos instead of exposing it. At first, it felt like relief. No pressure, no depth, no growth, just noise, just distraction. Just enough to numb the feeling that they made the wrong call. But the universe has a way of letting time do the talking. Your absence became the mirror they tried to avoid. Without you there, everything got louder and emptier at the same time. Conversations lost meaning, connections felt thin, even laughter started sounding forced. They smile more online now, don't they? That's not confidence, that's performance. Real happiness doesn't need witnesses. Meanwhile, you went quiet, not because you broke, but because you recalibrated. Silence is not weakness. Silence is what happens when someone stops explaining themselves to people who already decided not to understand. You didn't chase. You didn't beg. You didn't collapse. You stepped back and let the universe remove what couldn't stand next to your future. That's the part they didn't expect. They thought your quiet meant defeat. They assumed no reaction meant no power. They forgot one thing. Storms form in silence. Pressure builds where there is no noise. While they were busy proving they moved on, you were rebuilding something they will never have access to again. Here's another uncomfortable fact for them. People who replace depth with distraction often feel regret when they realize the replacement cannot hold space during hard moments. Anyone can laugh with you when life is easy. Very few can sit with you when life gets heavy. You were that person. And now, when things go quiet for them, they feel the gap you left like a missing limb. They replay moments now. Small ones. Your calm, your patience, The way you understood without needing explanations. Those memories don't come with pain at first. They come with nostalgia, then confusion, then the realization that what they lost cannot be recreated no matter how hard they try. And here's the truth chosen ones need to hear clearly. You were not betrayed because you were lacking. You were betrayed because you were rare. Rare things are often mishandled by people who don't know their worth. That doesn't make the rare thing less valuable. It exposes the handler. The universe didn't punish you, it protected you. By removing you from a situation where you were undervalued, the universe redirected your energy towards something aligned. While they are stuck maintaining a fake choice, you are free. Freedom is expensive. Not everyone can afford it. Some people pay for comfort with their future. Now regret sits with them in quiet moments, late nights, long drives, random pauses where your name almost slips out. They wonder if they misjudged you, if they rushed, if they chose wrong. That question never fully goes away once it shows up. And you don't need to prove anything. Your growth will speak. Your peace will speak. Your absence already is. Stay grounded, stay focused, stay rising. The universe always balances the scales. So, chosen one, before we go any further, pause for a second and lock in. If you're still here, it's not by accident. People who were betrayed for a fake don't stumble into messages like this randomly. They find them when the truth is finally catching up to everyone involved. If this is resonating, let the algorithm know by hitting like and subscribe. That small action keeps this message moving toward others who are quietly questioning why the people who hurt them now look so empty. If you feel pulled to comment, drop a simple "I'm ready" below. Not for show, but as a signal to yourself that you're done shrinking and done doubting what you already know is true. And if you want to support the work behind this message, super thanks are always appreciated. Not because of the amount, but because it fuels the effort to keep these hard truths alive and uncensored. Every bit of support pushes this mission forward and keeps clarity louder than the noise. Now here's the real reason to stay. What comes next isn't comfort talk or ego fluff. We're about to break this down step by step, exposing why they chose fake, why regret always follows, and why your rise was never optional. If you are truly a chosen one, you'll feel that pull to keep listening, because the universe has a habit of rewarding those who don't look away from the truth. Let's get into it. Number 1. They confused your silence for surrender and paid for it later. The most dangerous people don't announce their strength. They let others underestimate them and finish the lesson quietly. Chosen one, this is where the truth sharpens. They didn't leave because you were weak. They left because they misread you. They looked at your calm and decided it meant you had no edge, no backbone, no limits. They saw how you didn't react the way others do, how you didn't chase chaos or beg for clarity, and they assumed you were easy to replace. That assumption became the biggest mistake of their life. Here's what actually happened. You were steady in a world addicted to noise. You were controlled in a space where people survive by provoking reactions. And instead of recognizing discipline, they labeled it softness. Instead of seeing self-respect, they saw an opportunity. That's what shallow minds do. They confuse restraint with fear and composure with weakness because they don't understand power unless it's loud and desperate. Think about a calm ocean before a storm. From the surface, it looks harmless. No waves, no chaos, nothing to warn you. And then everything shifts. That was you. You weren't empty, you were contained. While they were busy measuring strength by volume, you were building it through control. And control always outlasts chaos. They ask themselves questions without realizing it. Why doesn't this person react like others? Why don't they fight for attention? Why do they stay composed when things get uncomfortable? Instead of respecting the answers, they chose to exploit what they didn't understand. They assumed your loyalty meant dependency. They assumed your patience meant tolerance for disrespect. They assumed your peace meant permission. That's where they crossed the line, because peace is not passivity. Peace is what happens when someone knows exactly who they are and refuses to perform for approval. Your calm wasn't an absence of emotion, it was mastery over it, and people who lack self-control are always threatened by those who have it. They don't say it out loud, but they feel it. Your presence forced them to confront parts of themselves they were avoiding. So they ran toward a fake. They chose someone loud because loud feels powerful when you don't have substance. They chose someone flashy because flash distracts from emptiness. They chose someone who mirrored their chaos because chaos feels familiar. And for a moment, they felt validated. No depth, no accountability, no reflection. Just noise and surface-level comfort. But here's the part they didn't think through. Noise fades, calm endures. Once the excitement wore off, once the constant stimulation lost its effect, they started noticing what was missing. Conversations felt hollow, support felt conditional, presence felt transactional. They began comparing without wanting to, not because they wanted you back immediately, but because your absence exposed the lack of weight in what they chose. That's when regret starts, not as pain, but as confusion. They replay moments now, not dramatic ones, quiet ones, the way you listened, the way you didn't need to dominate a room to be felt, the way your energy stayed consistent instead of shifting with moods. Those memories don't shout, they haunt, because depth leaves an imprint that surface-level connections never can. You might wonder at this point, did they ever realize what they lost? Yes, but not all at once. Regret doesn't arrive with fireworks. It creeps in during still moments, when there's no one to impress, when distractions stop working, when they realize the person they replaced you with can't hold space the way you did. And here's the part you need to hear clearly. You didn't need to prove your strength then, and you don't need to now. Your silence after the betrayal wasn't avoidance. It was self-respect. You didn't explain because explanations are wasted on people who already decided to misunderstand you. You didn't fight because fighting for someone who undervalues you only teaches them they were right to do it. That restraint is what shifted the power. They expected reactions. They expected collapse. They expected you to chase, to question yourself, to beg for clarity. When none of that happened, it unsettled them. Calm unsettles people who depend on control. Your refusal to break script forced them to sit with their choice without the distraction of your pain. That's why they feel it now. Your calm didn't disappear after they left. It evolved. It hardened into boundaries. It sharpened into clarity. While they were distracted by appearances, you were learning something far more valuable. You learned that your energy is selective, not unlimited. You learned that being chosen by everyone is meaningless compared to being chosen by yourself. Here's a truth that hits them hardest. The person who stays calm under pressure is never the weakest one in the room. They're the one who already won the internal war. Anyone can react. Anyone can explode. Very few can remain grounded when disrespected. That kind of discipline terrifies people who live impulsively. They didn't lose you because of bad timing. They lost you because they underestimated you. And now the universe is doing what it always does. It's letting time educate them. Every moment of emptiness reinforces the lesson. Every shallow interaction reminds them of depth they no longer have access to. Every forced smile confirms what they already know but don't want to admit. They traded stability for stimulation, and stimulation has an expiration date. You, on the other hand, are no longer confused. You see now that your calm was never a flaw. It was your filter. It removed people who couldn't meet you where you stand. It exposed those who wanted your loyalty without earning your respect. And it positioned you exactly where you needed to be for what's coming next. They mistook your calm for weakness. You let them. And that quiet decision changed everything. Number 2. They traded real gold for fool's gold and called it a win. Some people don't lose good things. They hand them away because they don't recognize value unless it's loud. Chosen one, this is where it gets almost embarrassing for them. They didn't just walk away from you. They swapped something rare for something fake and tried to convince themselves it was an upgrade. You weren't just kind. You were calibrated. You weren't just supportive. You were solid. In a world full of takers, you were a place to breathe. And instead of protecting that, they treated it like something replaceable. Here's the mistake they made. They thought rarity was common. When someone grows up surrounded by noise, chaos, and surface-level connections, real depth feels unfamiliar, and unfamiliar feels boring to people who live off stimulation. So when something shiny appeared, something louder, flashier, easier, they reached for it without checking what it was made of. Imagine this. Someone walks into a vault and trades a flawless diamond for a glass crystal because the crystal sparkles more under bright lights. At first glance, it feels exciting. People notice it. It reflects everything. But the moment pressure hits, the glass cracks. The diamond never would have. That was the trade they made. You were the diamond. You held space. You didn't drain them. You didn't need constant validation. You didn't demand performance. You gave stability without controlling. That kind of presence is rare because it requires self-awareness and emotional discipline. And instead of honoring it, they took it for granted. People who don't know how to keep real things always assume they can find another one later. Here's a hard truth that stings. Counterfeits always look better at first because they're designed to sell, not to last. They're loud by design. They're exciting by design. They're shallow by design. Depth doesn't advertise itself. It reveals itself over time, and people who rush decisions almost always choose wrong. They told themselves stories to justify it. They said you were too quiet, too serious, too deep. What they meant was you weren't distracting enough. You didn't help them escape themselves. The fake did, at least temporarily. The fake laughed louder, moved faster, demanded less. That felt like relief. Relief is dangerous when it replaces growth. Anything that replaces growth with comfort will cost you later. That cost didn't show up immediately. The universe is patient like that. It lets people enjoy the illusion long enough to believe it's real, long enough to commit, long enough to burn bridges behind them. And then, slowly, the cracks start showing. Imagine buying a luxury-looking house built on weak foundation. Everything looks perfect the first month. Smooth walls, clean lines, shiny surfaces. Then the floor starts creaking. Then the walls shift. Then the silence starts feeling heavy. That's what their choice turned into. They started noticing things, not dramatically, quietly. The replacement couldn't listen the way you did, couldn't hold space without making it about themselves, couldn't stay steady when emotions got uncomfortable. What once felt exciting now felt thin, What once felt easy now felt unreliable. And here's where regret gets sharp. They began comparing, even when they swore they wouldn't. Not because they missed you emotionally at first, but because their nervous system remembered safety. Your presence regulated them in ways they didn't understand at the time, and now that regulation was gone. The fake couldn't replicate it, no matter how hard they tried. You can replace a face, but you can't replace the way someone made you feel safe. You might be asking yourself, did they know they were choosing wrong? Some part of them did. People always feel it when they downgrade. That small discomfort, that quiet hesitation. They ignored it. They told themselves excitement mattered more than substance. That voice doesn't disappear. It waits. The universe didn't punish them instantly. It watched. It gave them space. And in that space, they showed exactly who they were. They chose short-term thrill over long-term value. They chose image over integrity. They chose counterfeit comfort over real connection. And favor shifted, not magically, logically, because when someone mishandles a gift, they don't get another one immediately. Gifts are not unlimited. You were placed in their life at a specific moment for a reason. To ground them, to steady them, to show them what real connection looks like. Instead of rising to it, they played with it. And the universe does not keep offering the same lesson forever. Now the haunting begins. Not the dramatic kind, the quiet kind, the kind that shows up when they're alone, when the fake is busy, when the noise dies down. They think about how easy it was with you, how they didn't have to perform, how they didn't have to pretend. Those thoughts don't bring comfort. They bring awareness. Awareness hurts when it comes too late. Regret is the bill that arrives after the excitement leaves. You, on the other hand, didn't lose anything real. You lost access to someone who couldn't recognize value unless it screamed. That's not a loss. That's filtration. The counterfeit revealed itself not just in them, but in the decision maker. Imagine lending someone a priceless book and watching them trade it for a flashy magazine because it had better pictures. That doesn't make the book less valuable. It exposes the reader. That's what happened here. Your depth didn't fail. Their capacity did. Now they live with the echo of that decision. Every shallow interaction reminds them of what they can't recreate. Every failed attempt to feel grounded reminds them of what they mishandled. The fake still sparkles, but it no longer satisfies. Sparkle doesn't sustain. It distracts until it doesn't. And you are no longer available for people who bargain with value. You learned something crucial. Not everyone deserves access to your calm, your loyalty, your emotional intelligence. Those are not baseline traits. They are earned exchanges. And the universe moved you away from someone who would have kept draining a gift they never planned to protect. They swapped a gift for a counterfeit. That choice follows them, quietly, relentlessly. And the more you rise, the clearer it becomes to them that what they lost was real. Number 3. When you walked away, the bill came due. Some people only understand your value when your absence starts charging interest. Chosen one, this is the part they never planned for. They thought losing you would feel quiet, temporary, manageable. They assumed life would simply rearrange itself without you in it. What they didn't realize is that your presence was doing work they never acknowledged. You weren't just there, you were stabilizing the whole environment. When you left, the structure didn't collapse loudly. It hollowed out slowly. Imagine removing the foundation from a building and waiting for the walls to notice. At first, everything looks the same routines, same smiles, same noise. But underneath, nothing is holding the weight anymore. Cracks appear. The silence stretches. Nights feel longer because there's no one grounding the chaos. That's what your absence did. It didn't punish them, it exposed them. You might wonder, do they actually feel it, or is that just something people say? They feel it. Not as drama, but as discomfort, as restlessness, as that nagging sense that something essential is missing, even when everything looks fine. The laughter doesn't land the same. The company doesn't satisfy. The distractions don't last. That's not coincidence. That's consequence. Peace is invisible until it's gone. Then it becomes unforgettable. You were the calm they underestimated, the emotional balance they leaned on without admitting it. You listened when others talked over them. You stayed steady when others escalated. You brought clarity when their thoughts were scattered. And when you removed that energy, everything became louder and emptier at the same time. Noise filled the space where depth used to live. Picture someone living near clean water their whole life and never appreciating it. Then one day, it's gone. Suddenly, nothing tastes right. Nothing satisfies thirst. They try substitutes, flavored drinks, short-term fixes. But their body knows the difference. That's what they're experiencing now. You were the water. Everything else is just sugar and air. Absence doesn't hurt because it's empty. It hurts because it reveals what was doing the work. They scroll more, they post more, they smile harder. Not because they're thriving, but because they're compensating. Masks get heavier the longer they're worn, and every quiet moment reminds them that the one person who brought peace no longer shows up. You didn't disappear to punish them. You left because staying would have cost you yourself. The universe didn't take something from them. It returned something to you. And now their discomfort is simply the echo of what they failed to protect. Your absence isn't revenge. It's the natural outcome of being undervalued, and it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Number 4. The story they use to escape you is falling apart. The lie only works until silence forces the truth to speak. Chosen one, this is where their mental armor starts cracking. They didn't just walk away, they had to explain it to themselves in a way that didn't make them look small. So they rewrote the story. They said, you were too intense, too deep, too demanding, too much. That lie wasn't about you. It was about survival. People blame what exposes them when they don't want to face what they lack. Here's the part they hate admitting. You didn't ask for anything unreasonable. You asked for presence, honesty, consistency. That's not pressure. That's basic alignment. But to someone avoiding growth, even basic standards feel like control. So instead of rising to meet you, they lowered the narrative. It's easier to call depth too much than to admit you're not enough to hold it. People don't reject truth because it's wrong. They reject it because it requires change. They told themselves they wanted peace, but what they really wanted was comfort without accountability. They wanted things easy, not real. They wanted control, not connection. You didn't fit that plan. Your clarity disrupted their excuses. Your calm forced self-reflection. Your presence made it impossible to hide behind distractions. That wasn't love to them. That was exposure. Imagine someone standing in a bright room after years of dim lighting. Instead of adjusting their eyes, they blame the light for being too harsh. That was you. You didn't blind them. You revealed what they were avoiding. And rather than adapt, they shut the door and told themselves the darkness was better. Now, the noise isn't working anymore. They keep themselves busy. They stay surrounded. They fill every quiet moment with sound, because silence is where the cracks show. Silence is where the old excuses don't hold up. Silence is where they realize the problem wasn't you asking for too much. It was them offering too little. Regret grows when the story you told yourself stops making sense. They replay moments now with different eyes. Things they once dismissed suddenly feel heavy. Your patience, your honesty, your consistency. The same traits they labeled as flaws now stand in sharp contrast to the instability they chose. That comparison hurts, not because you were perfect, but because you were real. And you don't need to defend yourself anymore. The truth is doing that work for you. The universe has a way of removing distractions until clarity is unavoidable. Their lies are cracking, not loudly, quietly. One realization at a time. You didn't lose anything by being honest. They lost the comfort of their own illusion, and that realization is catching up to them, whether they're ready or not. Number 5, they didn't turn on you, they envied you. Some people clap for you with one hand and count your steps with the other. Chosen one, this is the uncomfortable truth they will never say out loud. It wasn't love that broke. It was jealousy that finally stopped pretending. They were never fully standing beside you. They were measuring themselves against you the whole time, watching, comparing, keeping score in a game you didn't even know you were playing. Your growth made them uneasy. Your calm made them feel exposed. Your wins didn't inspire them. They irritated them. Not because you were doing anything wrong, but because your progress highlighted everything they were avoiding in themselves. You became a mirror they didn't ask for, and instead of improving the reflection, they tried to break the mirror. Jealousy doesn't announce itself as hate. It disguises itself as support until it can't keep up anymore. Think about it like this. Imagine running your race at your own pace, focused, disciplined, consistent. Meanwhile, someone is jogging next to you, pretending it's teamwork, but secretly hoping you trip. The moment you pull ahead, their encouragement turns quiet. Their smiles tighten. Their energy shifts. That's not confusion. That's resentment. They didn't want to see you fail publicly. They wanted you to fail just enough to feel superior. Your confidence felt like a threat. Your potential felt like pressure. And instead of doing the internal work to rise, they chose the easier path. Distance, detachment, betrayal dressed up as self-care. People who envy you don't want your life. They want your light turned down. That's why their support was conditional. It only existed when you weren't outshining them. The moment you started stepping into your power, their tone changed. Advice became criticism. Concern became control. Affection became transactional. You weren't imagining it. You were outgrowing their comfort zone. Imagine a plant growing taller than the pot it was placed in. Instead of giving it more room, someone starts trimming it back to keep it manageable. That's what they tried to do to you. They didn't hate you. They hated how small they felt, standing next to someone who refused to dim. Now here's the twist they didn't expect. When they walked away, they didn't regain control. They lost access. They lost proximity. They lost the very thing they were feeding off of. And jealousy doesn't disappear when distance is created. It mutates into regret. You didn't lose a supporter. You shed a spectator who wanted front row seats to your downfall. And the universe did you a favor by removing them before your next level, made them even more uncomfortable. Their jealousy was never your burden to carry. It was their signal that you were always meant to rise higher than where they were willing to go. Number 6. When they removed you, everything lost its color. They thought you were optional until everything started falling apart without you. Chosen one, this is where reality stopped playing nice with them. They believed cutting you out would simplify their life. Less depth, less accountability, less pressure. What they didn't realize is that you weren't a bonus feature in their world. You were the structure holding it together. When you left, nothing exploded at once. It just stopped working. Imagine pulling the power source out of a building and being surprised when the lights go out. That's what they did. Your energy was what warmed the room, gave direction, gave meaning. Without you, everything went flat. Conversations felt colder, goals felt pointless, even the wins felt hollow. They didn't lose excitement, they lost substance. Some people think they're the star until the light that made them visible walks away. They told themselves removing you would put them in control, that they would finally shine on their own. But instead of rising, they felt exposed. Because what you brought wasn't attention, it was stability. And stability is invisible until it's gone. Once you were out of the picture, the cracks had nowhere to hide. Think of it like this. A stage looks impressive until you remove the support beams backstage. The curtains still hang, the lights still flash, but the floor starts shaking. That's their world now. From the outside, everything looks fine. Posts, smiles, movement. But behind the scenes, it's chaos management. Image can fake success. It can't replace grounding. They're louder now, aren't they? Posting more, celebrating harder, showing off things that never mattered before. That's not growth. That's compensation. When someone is truly fulfilled, they don't need to convince an audience. The universe always exposes overperformance rooted in emptiness. You might wonder if they connect the dots. They do, slowly, late nights, quiet moments. When the screen turns off and the noise fades, that's when they feel it. The absence of warmth, the lack of direction, the sense that something vital is missing and can't be replaced. You don't miss the foundation until the ground starts shaking. You weren't draining them, you were anchoring them, and once that anchor was gone, they drifted. Now they're managing the emptiness they created, trying to fill it with approval, distraction, and surface-level wins. None of it sticks. You didn't take anything from them, you simply stopped giving what they failed to value, and the universe let the consequences teach the lesson you never had to explain. Number 7. You were built to stand apart, not blend in. You don't get rejected for being wrong, you get rejected for being rare in a room that survives on average. Chosen one, this is where the confusion finally ends. You were never meant to fit in. Every time you tried to shrink, it felt wrong. Every time you softened your truth to keep the peace, it drained you. That wasn't a flaw in you, that was resistance from your design. You were built with contrast, not camouflage. You made people uncomfortable simply by being yourself. Not because you were arrogant or cold, but because you didn't need permission to exist fully. You didn't chase approval. You didn't mirror insecurity. You carried authenticity in a world that runs on imitation, and imitation always feels threatened by the original. Standing out feels lonely when you're surrounded by people committed to staying small. Think about it like this. A lighthouse doesn't argue with ships lost at sea. It just stands there, steady, visible, unmoving. Some ships are grateful for the light, others resent it because it exposes how lost they are. You were that light, and instead of navigating better, they chose to sail away and call the darkness freedom. That's why betrayal followed leadership energy. Real leaders don't gather crowds. They trigger resistance first. When you move differently, think differently, feel deeper, people who rely on blending in start projecting. They call you distant, they call you intense, they call you difficult. What they really mean is you refuse to disappear for their comfort. Not everyone who leaves you is meant to walk where you're going. You might have asked yourself why connection always came with pain, why honesty cost you relationships, why being real felt so heavy. Here's the answer. Authenticity doesn't negotiate, it filters. And filters feel like loss until you realize what they remove was never aligned to begin with. Imagine a strong current in a river. Weak swimmers don't survive it. That doesn't make the river cruel. It makes it powerful. You weren't meant to slow your current for people who can't keep up. You were meant to move forward and let the universe sort out who can swim beside you. You weren't rejected, you were released. Stop dimming. Stop apologizing for your clarity. Stop mistaking loneliness for failure. Leadership often feels isolated before it feels purposeful, and what you carry is real. Real doesn't fade. It doesn't expire. It doesn't need validation. You don't fit in because you were never designed to. You were designed to lead, even if that meant walking alone for a while. Number 8. The universe ended the game and took the pieces. Life doesn't argue with bad choices. It waits, then collects. Chosen one, this is the moment everything quietly reversed. Life didn't rush to correct them. It didn't interrupt their confidence or embarrass them publicly. It let them play. It let them smile. It let them believe the fake was enough. And that patience was intentional, because when the universe flips the board, it does it so cleanly there's no one left to blame. They tried to move on like nothing happened. Same routines, same habits, same shortcuts. They even tried to copy what you brought into their life, your energy, your style, your way of moving. But copies don't carry frequency. They only mimic, shape. And the universe doesn't respond to imitation. It responds to alignment. You can copy behavior, but you can't copy essence. Imagine someone losing a master key and then trying every cheap duplicate they can find. The door doesn't open, not because the lock is broken, but because the key was unique. That was you. Once you were gone, access was gone. No replacement, no workaround, no substitute. They kept smiling, but the smiles stopped landing. They kept trying, but nothing stuck. Every attempt to recreate what they lost fell flat in real time. That's when frustration set in. Not because life was unfair, but because life stopped cooperating. Momentum dried up, energy felt off. Things that used to just work suddenly didn't. When alignment is gone, effort feels heavy and results disappear. Here's the truth they're slowly realizing. Losing you wasn't just emotional. It shifted their trajectory. You weren't a chapter, you were a turning point. And when they mishandled that moment, the universe didn't replace it. It moved on without them. They thought life would offer another chance wrapped in a different face. It doesn't work like that. Certain people show up once. Certain connections are not repeatable. Not because they're rare, but because they arrive when timing, growth, and readiness intersect. Miss it, and the window closes. Some doors don't lock, they disappear. You didn't need revenge. Life handled it through redirection. While they're stuck trying to recreate what they lost, you're moving forward into spaces that match you. The board flipped, the game ended, and the universe made it clear who was meant to keep playing and who was not. Number 9. They took the shortcut and ended up nowhere. Fast paths feel exciting until you realize they don't lead anywhere worth staying. Chosen one, this is where the difference between you and them became permanent. They wanted the quick route, the instant high, the easy validation. You wanted something that could last when the noise died. While they were chasing flashes, you were laying bricks. While they were collecting attention, you were building direction. And at the time, it looked uneven. It always does when patience is involved. They laughed at your pace. They thought you were moving too slow, thinking too deep, holding back too much. What they didn't understand is that speed without direction isn't progress. It's just motion, and motion burns energy without producing results. Rushing feels powerful until you realize you skipped the foundation. Imagine two people starting a fire. One throws paper and sparks everywhere. Big flames, big show. Everyone notices. The other stacks wood carefully, lights it slowly, protects it from wind. At first, it looks unimpressive. Then the paper burns out, the sparks disappear, and the steady fire is the only thing still warm. That was the difference between you. They chose fireworks. You chose fire. Fireworks are loud, temporary, designed to impress people who aren't staying. Fire lasts, fire warms, fire changes environments. That's why they felt empty once the excitement faded. The attention moved on, the novelty wore off. The shortcuts stopped delivering, and suddenly they were standing in a place that looked busy but felt pointless. Shortcuts don't save time, they delay meaning. You might have questioned yourself back then, wondered if you were missing out. If you were too serious, too focused, too restrained. That doubt wasn't intuition, it was comparison. And comparison always lies when different paths are involved. Now look at the timing. Their fast wins vanished as quickly as they arrived. The distractions stopped distracting, the shine dulled. Meanwhile, what you built in silence didn't announce itself. It matured, it strengthened. It waited for the right moment to surface. Anything built for attention collapses when attention leaves. You didn't fall behind, you were aligning, and alignment doesn't rush, it compounds. That's why things are starting to bloom for you now, naturally, steadily, without force. While they're trying to recreate momentum they never earned, you're stepping into outcomes that actually belong to you. They chose the quick route and got lost. You chose the long road and found yourself. Number 10. Time put their decision on trial and delivered the verdict. Time doesn't take sides. It removes the mask and lets the truth stand alone. Chosen one, this is where everything becomes undeniable. Time didn't rush to defend you. It didn't need to. Time is precise, patient, and ruthless in the cleanest way possible. It let moments stack. It let patterns repeat. And slowly, without drama, it exposed exactly what was real and what was pretending. What they tried to sell as success couldn't survive time. At first, it looked convincing. Movement, noise, progress. But time has a way of draining illusions. The excitement they relied on couldn't sustain them. The confidence they performed couldn't stabilize them. Their energy started shifting, inconsistent, reactive, restless. That's not growth. That's someone trying to outrun the weight of a bad decision. Fake stability collapses the moment time asks it to hold pressure. You might have wondered if walking away erased your future with them. It didn't. It clarified it. They didn't lose you. They lost the version of their life that could have existed if they had chosen depth over ego. A future built on something real, something steady, something that didn't need constant maintenance to look alive. Imagine planting two seeds. One is rushed into poor soil just to see something sprout quickly. The other is planted carefully, patiently, in the right conditions. At first, the rushed one grows faster. Then it withers. The other takes its time and becomes unshakable. Time doesn't reward speed, it rewards structure. Time doesn't destroy things, it reveals what was never solid. Their energy tells the story now, the way they move, the way they react, the way they over-explain. Peaceful people don't need to prove they're okay. Grounded people don't perform happiness. The emptiness they try to hide keeps leaking through because time removes the ability to pretend. Meanwhile, you didn't have to explain anything. Your growth speaks quietly. Your stability doesn't fluctuate. Your direction feels clear. That's what alignment looks like when time is on your side. The future chooses those who choose truth early. They didn't just lose a person, they lost a timeline, a path, a version of life that required courage they didn't have. And time closed that door without anger, without apology. You didn't fall behind. You stepped into a future that no longer includes those who couldn't walk at your pace. And time made sure the difference was clear. Number 11. They walked past their purpose and called it freedom. Some people don't miss opportunities. They misunderstand them and spend years feeling empty instead. Chosen one, this truth cuts the deepest because it explains why nothing ever feels right for them anymore. You were never a phase. You were alignment. You weren't just someone they met. You were the moment their life could have shifted into something solid, meaningful, and lasting. And instead of recognizing that, they treated you like a temporary stop on the way to pleasure. You brought order to their chaos without trying to control it. You brought clarity without forcing change. You represented growth they said they wanted, but weren't ready to commit to. And when that kind of alignment shows up, it doesn't feel exciting to someone addicted to stimulation. It feels confronting. Purpose doesn't feel thrilling to people who survive on distraction. Think about it like this. Imagine someone standing at a crossroads. One path is quiet, demanding, and long-term. The other is loud, easy, and immediately rewarding. They chose the louder road because it felt lighter in the moment. What they didn't realize is that light paths rarely lead anywhere meaningful. They traded legacy for lust. That's not a moral statement, it's a structural one. Lust demands nothing long-term. Legacy demands consistency. Purpose requires responsibility. And responsibility feels heavy to someone who hasn't built inner strength yet. Now, every connection they form feels thin. Conversations don't land. Chemistry fades fast. The excitement wears off quickly. That's not bad luck. That's comparison. Once you've experienced real alignment, your nervous system doesn't forget it. After depth, surface-level connections feel like starvation. They might not say your name out loud, but your impact is everywhere. In the way they hesitate now, in the way they question their choices, in the way nothing fully satisfies anymore. You reset their standard without meaning to. And losing that standard is what hurts, not losing you as a person. Imagine tasting real, nourishing food after years of fast consumption. Then going back. The body rejects it. The mind knows better. That's what they're dealing with now. They didn't lose love. They lost direction. Alignment feels rare because most people aren't ready to keep it. You were the purpose they missed, not because you were perfect, but because you were real at the right time. The universe doesn't keep offering the same alignment over and over. Some moments are singular, and when they pass, the lesson remains without the gift. You didn't walk away from something meaningful. You were released from someone who couldn't carry it. Number 12. You transcended the loss. They're stuck replaying it. Some people try to end you, not knowing they're lighting the fuse. Chosen one, this is the final separation point. What they meant as rejection didn't damage you, it exposed you. Pressure doesn't destroy what's solid, it reveals it. When they walked away, they expected collapse, confusion, regret on your side. Instead, something sharper happened. You adapted, you shed weight, you stepped into a version of yourself that could not have emerged without that fracture. They thought they closed a chapter. What they actually did was remove the last obstacle. You didn't fall apart because there was nothing weak to break. You reorganized. Like carbon under pressure turning into diamond, the stress didn't erase you, it refined you. While they were busy justifying their choice, you were rebuilding your internal structure. Quietly, intentionally, permanently. Rejection only ruins people who were pretending. Think about a rocket on the launch pad. From the outside, it looks still, almost unimpressive. Then ignition happens. Heat, force, chaos. That's not destruction, that's departure. What they mistook as your lowest moment was actually liftoff. And once something leaves orbit, it doesn't circle back to explain itself. Now, here's the part they struggle to accept. Your growth didn't pause when they left. It accelerated. You stopped negotiating your worth. You stopped explaining your depth. You stopped carrying people who were slowing you down. That wasn't bitterness. That was clarity. Growth is silent. Regret is loud. That's why they notice you now. They watch from a distance, not always consciously, but energetically. Your confidence lands differently now. Your calm has weight. Your direction feels locked in, and it stings because they recognize the version of you they never got to access. The future unfolding in front of you is one they removed themselves from. Imagine someone walking away from a bridge halfway built, then standing on the shore, watching it connect to the other side without them. That's their position now. They didn't lose you in the moment. They lost the destination. Your rise didn't punish them. It finalized the truth. You didn't win by outperforming them. You won by becoming aligned. And alignment is unstoppable because it doesn't chase. It moves forward. They remain in regret, not because you hurt them, but because they recognize what they can never reach again. Your growth is the message. Your peace is the proof. And your future is no longer accessible to those who doubted you when it mattered. And chosen one, if this message spoke to you, don't let it end here. Press the like button if you haven't already, so this truth reaches others who need it right now. And if you're not part of this family yet, make sure to press the subscribe button and stay connected. We're building something real here, not noise, not hype, but clarity and strength. You didn't imagine the betrayal, and you didn't imagine the shift. The universe saw it all. Stay grounded, stay rising. And remember, your growth is the loudest response.